Ted Bundy, a name synonymous with manipulation, deception, and chilling violence. The case of Ted Bundy is one that has left an indelible mark on the history of American crime. His story is not just that of a brutal killer, but also of a charismatic, charming man who could deceive the world into thinking he was nothing more than an ordinary, well-educated young man. But beneath that mask was a murderer whose crimes spanned years, leaving a trail of heartbreak and fear in his wake. Ted Bundy's story begins in the early 1970s. At first glance, Ted appeared to be just like any other young man in America, handsome, intelligent, and well-spoken. He had a degree in psychology and was a law student, and yet behind his well-crafted facade was a predator who would leave the world in shock. Bundy's charm wasn't just superficial. He was able to win over friends, colleagues, and even victims with his disarming demeanor. He knew exactly how to present himself in a way that put others at ease, which would later help him carry out his brutal crimes undetected for years. Born in 1946 in Burlington, Vermont, Ted Bundy was raised by his grandparents, believing they were his parents and his mother was his sister. This early deception set the stage for a life built on lies. As he grew older, Bundy showed signs of antisocial behavior. His early relationships with women were marked by an obsession with control and power, foreshadowing his later violent tendencies. During his college years, Bundy's charm and intelligence were evident, and it wasn't long before he caught the attention of women. But behind his suave exterior, Bundy was harboring darker desires, and these feelings would soon manifest in violent ways. In 1974, Bundy's reign of terror began. His first known murders took place in Washington state, where he would abduct, assault, and kill young women, leaving no witnesses and very few clues behind. He often targeted women with long, dark hair parted in the middle, which was a type of victim that would become a consistent pattern in his killing spree. Bundy's approach was methodical. He would often feign injury or request assistance from his victims, gaining their trust before luring them into his car. Once they were inside, Bundy would overpower them, taking them to secluded locations where he would brutally assault and murder them. Despite the increasing number of missing women, police were initially unable to make any connection between the crimes. Bundy was skilled at covering his tracks. The public, meanwhile, was unaware of the monster hiding in plain sight. As Bundy continued his killing spree, the authorities remained baffled, even though several witnesses had described a man resembling him. At the same time, Bundy's ability to blend into society remained unmatched. He worked in various political and law-related jobs, allowing him to learn more about police investigations and refine his methods. It was this combination of charm, intelligence, and calculated violence that allowed Bundy to stay ahead of the police for so long. In 1975, Bundy was arrested for the kidnapping of a woman named Carol Duranch. However, even after his arrest, Bundy's killings did not stop. While awaiting trial, Bundy managed to escape from his jail cell, and during his time on the run, he committed more murders, this time in different states. His escape only further cemented his status as a terrifying and elusive criminal. Bundy's downfall began in 1978, when a breakthrough in the investigation finally linked him to the murders. After a series of eyewitness accounts and evidence that tied him to the crime scenes, Bundy was finally captured. But the case was far from over. During his trial, Bundy represented himself in court, playing the role of the innocent, misunderstood man, even though the evidence against him was overwhelming. The trial of Ted Bundy became a media sensation. His ability to speak well, his attractiveness, and his charm made him a subject of public fascination. But behind the charismatic facade, the victims' families were forced to relive the horrors Bundy had put them through. Bundy's arrogance in court, often mocking the legal system and displaying little regard for the victims, further proved his true nature. After a lengthy trial, Bundy was convicted of several murders. The details of his crimes were horrifying, and the evidence was irrefutable. But Bundy, ever the manipulator, still maintained his innocence. As the years passed, Bundy's desperation grew. In 1989, after years of sitting on death row, he finally confessed to the murders of over 30 women across multiple states. His confessions were chilling, providing details of his crimes that shocked the nation. Ted Bundy's ability to manipulate even in his final moments was evident as he tried to use his confessions to delay his execution. Bundy was executed by electric chair in 1989 at the Florida State Prison. His death marked the end of one of the most notorious crime sprees in history, but the legacy of his charm and calculated violence continues to captivate people to this day. The legacy of Ted Bundy is one that continues to haunt America. His crimes, his ability to manipulate, and the public's fascination with him have made him one of the most infamous serial killers in history. Bundy's story is a tragic reminder that sometimes evil comes in the most unexpected forms. He was a man who appeared to be everything society admired. Yet beneath that facade, he was a ruthless killer who preyed on the most vulnerable. Bundy's case changed how law enforcement approached serial killers, and his ability to deceive everyone, from law enforcement to the media, has made him a case study in psychological manipulation and criminal behavior. Ted Bundy's story is a chilling reminder of how a charming, intelligent man could mask his true nature behind a well-crafted persona. His ability to manipulate and deceive made him one of the most dangerous criminals in history. As we reflect on his life, it's important to remember the victims. Real women with families, dreams, and lives cut short by one man's insatiable desire for control and power. The case of Ted Bundy teaches us that evil can hide in plain sight, and it is a reminder to never underestimate the darkness that can lie beneath a charming exterior.